All set? All right. As Chairman of the Zoning Board of Adjustments of Northwood, I call this meeting to order at 6:34. We have one member participating remotely. Betsy Colburn, what's the reason you cannot be present at this meeting? Sorry, can you state that again? Medical. All right. Thank you. Is there anybody else present in your location? Nobody else is present in her location. I'm gonna the following is a voting designation. Ted Wilkinson.
Here.
Pam Sanderson.
Present.
And myself, Justin Miller. All members are a voting designation.
Do we need
All votes will be by roll call. Do we need a motion to do?
I think we're already done that.
Are we already done?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got,
Okay.
we're good.
No, if someone objects for any reason, you can
We can do it again, but
discuss
Okay.
it, but otherwise you can just
Okay.
add her to the voting designation.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Let's see. Has everybody had a chance to view or read the minutes from September 27, 2021?
yes.
Perusing, yes.
Any adjustments or any comments on the minutes? I took a look. They look pretty good.
My comment is that it must have been mind-numbing to go all the way through that, typing out the questions and answers, all 5 required questions for every variance, but that's what's required, and so salute to the secretary for doing it very well.
Yes. Thank you, Susan.
I'm sorry, that should be administrative
I
assistant.
have to ask on this, it says
Can you
motion,
just speak into the microphone?
motion to continue to October 25th. Isn't it motion to continue to, all right, this is September 27th
Correct.
minutes.
Yep.
So these are the ones that we didn't do before. Do we have the October 25th meeting?
Not as if.
Okay, thank you. I'm less confused now. Do we have a motion? Motion to accept the minutes?
Motion by Pam. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ted. Any further discussion? Ted, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
Pam?
In favor?
Betsy? And I am yes. Motion passes. Minutes are done. All right. We have 3 continued cases in front of us today, applications. We'll start right on the first one, case 21-7, David Euler and Robert Braun, 216 Long Pond Road, map 207, lot 32. Applicant is proposing to convert a seasonal home to year-round and is requesting the following relief. Appeal from RSA 674-41. You can sit right at the table and just use that microphone, please. Euler, 674. You introduce yourself?
Can we hold it down?
If it's green, it's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name's David Euler. I'm currently working on 216 Long Pond Road. I'm looking to convert the property to year-round.
All right. Now, so this is, did we get any additional information? Did you guys need any additional information for this?
For the 67441, we asked for proof of up-to-date with the association.
I forwarded that email over to Linda.
That was emailed out, I believe. Did you not receive it? I'll print it out.
I actually have a hard copy as well.
If you have a hard copy, we can
Have a
pass
hard
it.
copy? I'll run it.
We can run with that.
Here, I'll run
Linda can
copies.
make copies.
Linda can make,
Linda
Linda
can
can
make
make
a copy.
copies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, in the meantime, while Linda's doing that, does anybody have any questions or anything in regards to the 674-41?
Well, no, given the fact that there is an association and they do good active maintenance of the road out there, granted it's a private road, that's one of the two ways anybody can satisfy 674-41. Of course, the other way is to right up front indemnify the town and have that recorded in the county, but we don't need to go there because there's an association, because there's an active maintenance program underway, so I am completely satisfied that he easily meets the standard.
All right.
And I too have no questions as long as the association is active and you are paid up to date, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, here's a procedural question. Is this technically a variance request? It's an appeal from RSA 674?
No, and it used to go to the Board of Selectmen,
Right, and so,
and it's been bounced over to us.
okay, and
So-
have we noticed it, or do we? is
No,
there-
we don't have
Oh,
to
good.
on that, because it's
Okay, 'cause
a
it's-
RSA.
Okay, and it's been
So
delegated by the
he's appealing for
selectmen.
relief from
Okay.
the RSA.
Oh, well, that's easy to do. I mean, we don't have to wade through 5 questions?
Yeah, oh, we noticed the 674-41? We noticed the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
good. I'm satisfied
Right.
that was done as well. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to slog through the 5 questions.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Scott, the neighbor, and
Good.
he's in favor.
Good.
So I got a question just in regards to the association that you sent with your initial application. Just reading through the bylaws, what you submitted initially.
Okay.
It says, let me start right from number 3. Any person, corporation, or other legal entity which now or hereafter owns and acquires ownership of a land or building, now or formerly of Long Pond Estates, Inc., situated on or near Long Pond in the town of Northwood, New Hampshire, may become a member of the corporation upon paying the annual dues. And it goes on. So later down the road, if you decide, I don't want to pay my dues, what happens there with the association if you don't pay your dues?
Well, I'm under the impression if I don't pay my dues, they could slap a lien on the house, and for any dues that's owed, they can pretty much just take ownership as far as putting it onto the house.
Okay.
Like when I spoke to the president, they've recently changed the treasurer and the president, and I know Robert Braun was probably in wrongdoing at first when he purchased the property from Northwood because he wasn't paying the dues. But ever since we made a deal with, as far as the contract that we have, he's been up to date.
So since you've owned the property, you've been paying the dues
Yes.
and everything since?
Yes.
And you
Yep.
plan to
And
keep
then the
paying?
back taxes as well has been paid as well.
And you plan to keep paying the
Yes.
dues as long as you own the property?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And that's October 13th, 2021.
I'm gonna read this into the record. This is an email from, is this your email?
This is actually an email sent to Robert Braun, and Robert Braun printed it off and gave it to me.
Okay, it's right here, from Sanja Gonzalez, treasurer.
Yes.
All right, the Long Pond Property Owners Association, it was dated Wednesday, October 13, 2021. Good evening, Mr. Braun. Thank you for sending the check for $2,700 towards the past due balance of 216 Long Pond Road. The board of members appreciate it very much. It will come to much good, especially in the winter months when road maintenance becomes very expensive. I've just deposited the check, so you should see it cleared within the next few days. Best regards, Sonja Gonzalez, treasurer.
Linda, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say that the question about what would happen if it wasn't paid, obviously it wasn't paid here for some time. You'd have to go back to the Long Pond Association, their regulations to determine whether or not there's any, I
any
don't know whether
recourse?
they could actually lien a property or not.
Right. Okay.
It would have to be something in their regulations that would require that. Not the town. It's nothing the town could do.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think I'd see what the association could do.
I know I was told that some of the past due amounts was actually on the property when it was transferred to ownership, according to Robert Braun. So anything that was actually owed was paid, and it's clean and clear as far as today.
Okay. Thank you.
And just so everyone is aware, this gentleman here is not the owner of record.
All right. Was not aware.
We have...
Representative thereof.
He is in some type of a contractual agreement with the property owner.
So, I mean,
Prepared to make a motion anytime, Mr. Chairman.
so my only question and concern, yeah, Betsy, do you have any questions in regards to the 674-41? Any questions, all right.
May I ask, were the three items read in the record?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta, yeah, so, that's the wrong one. Let me see. So my only, so we get an email saying that he's paid to date, but we don't have any record, we don't have anything. Does the town has the Long Pond Association on record, their association? Or is that,
Actually, that works, it's recorded in the registry of deeds. I think
Okay.
I might be able to locate a copy,
okay,
although I don't think it's really up to this
Yeah.
board to get into the private conditions on
okay.
it.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
It is an association of record. I can only tell you my knowledge of it is that it's always been, that they have always contracted as an association, they contract to have their work done.
Okay.
That it's not like Harvey Lake Estates where you might have six different
different.
little associations. It's one.
Sure, okay. That answers my question then. I don't know, what are the three questions I'm missing?
They're on
I'm a disaster.
the application, right on the.
See if I have the right one, hold on. Oh, right there.
Yep.
Okay,
and
yeah,
there,
thanks.
and two questions on the next two pages.
Yep. So, Mr. Euler, I'll ask you these questions, the facts supporting this request, and then I'll just have you answer them, so it's on the record?
Yeah,
If I-
I don't have my copy with me.
Okay.
The one that I submitted the full copy to you guys. I didn't have that with me. Like, I didn't make an extra copy of it.
Okay.
Take Ryan, what's there, or-
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Pam.
I found mine.
I'm back. Thank you.
All right, you all set, Pam? All right. Facts supporting this request for the application for appeal RSA 674-41. Enforcement of the frontage would let me start again. Enforcement of the frontage standard would entail practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship.
Because it's an old lot approved at one time that did meet old code standards, enforcement of the road frontage would make this property unusable with today's minimum code standards. This is an existing seasonal house. I only want to bring it up to today's minimum code and make a livable year-round residence without changing the original footprint of the house. There is too much ledge in the back of the house, and the leach field would be even closer to the neighbor's well.
All right. You skipped the next one. The erection of the building will not tend to distort the official map or increase the difficulty of carrying out the master plan.
For that, I answered, no new building is being built, only need to install septic and leach field in the front, and I want to keep the existing footprint and design to the house.
Erection of the building will not cause hardship to future purchases or undue financial impact of the municipality.
My answer to that is because the house would be brought up to today's minimum code standards and regulations, the current use of the house would make it a more valuable dwelling in Northwood if it was converted to year-round use because of the low volume of available homes on today's market. Would I want to be able to live in Northwood year-round? It would also increase revenue for the town if conversion is approved.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could
That's
speak
fine.
to the board.
Yeah.
The purpose of this statute has to do with access only, the ability to access that lot for emergency responders, police, fire, whatever, school buses. And it is required that it must meet all the conditions, including the one that has a NA next to it. That section, if it might be helpful to know, typically, the statute was designed for situations where you had a private road or a Class 6 road and out beyond where there might already be homes or seasonal, that beyond that, someone wants to build.
Right.
And the purpose of this saying that it is not related to existing or proposed streets would be, examples that have been given would be, say, a little kiosk for a nature center to take kids out to do a field day, or a structure that might be out there that does not require someone to be able to go to an existing or proposed street. What you would want to look at in this particular case for all of this is, are there year-round homes beyond this? Is there, such as what you've asked, a association in place, those type of questions. But there still needs to be an answer, and the answer should be related to access to the property.
Access to the property.
Not the use of the property in the sense of it being a residence. And now you can get to it seasonally, so there's also
Right.
that part of it
So-
as well.
We could ask some questions at this point about, down beyond your road, which I did not go down much further. Are there year-round homes down there?
Yes, so there's been multiple houses that have been converted to year-round use. And as well as that, the road is wide enough for a fire truck to enter and exit and both turn around at the end of the road too.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's like a hammerhead down there.
Yes, it almost jags out, and then there's almost enough space turning radius at the end where it forks.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it is a wide road.
Yes.
That suffices for me.
Well, yes, I mean, the access is going to be maintained in any case by the association, by the fact that there are other year-round and some seasonal homes out there. It's not that you're the only building there, so I'm satisfied that this meets the intent. That is, under 674-41, we have to pay attention to access. And as we've discussed earlier, fortunately, there is an association. I mean, I suppose on the alternative, somebody could indemnify the town, but that's not necessary here. I believe that this easily meets all the requirements.
I would suggest you, at a minimum, read that one into
Right.
the record and receive a response.
Yes.
I'm going to read that second question.
Yeah.
The circumstances of the case do not require the building or structure to be related to existing or proposed streets.
Well, I know other houses have been converted to year-round use, and the road is accessible by both local fire departments and police departments, and there is a right-of-way so that they do have space to access the property.
Now, I guess procedural, Linda.
Yes.
Now, I mean, based off of, like, what you said, this applies to the access. You know, we're satisfied with the association, the answers, but for the legal side of things, should we go over the other questions, or is that good enough if we're satisfied? Like,
If you
you know-
feel that those items have been met by the discussion that has ensued, then you could make a motion based on what information you do have.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Anybody else have anything else for the applicant? Any other questions? Betsy, do you have anything for the applicant? All right. At this point, I'll see if there's any abutters that have anything to say. Not seeing any abutters. We'll close, what is it? Public comment, right? Yep. And we'll deliberate.
Well, you know where I stand. I think this is a well-presented application. I like what he's doing with the house. I like the whole thing, so I don't have any trouble with it. I think he's easily met the requirements such that we can grant his appeal for relief from RSA 674-41.
And for my part,
Speak closer, please.
going
Thank you.
down and visiting the road, it is a well-maintained road for a back road. It had really good condition. It is wide, and I can easily see emergency vehicle access on that road. And I don't think you could have a road in that well-maintained estate if you did not do it year-round. So I think I saw continual upgrading and upkeep on the road, so it is a good road.
Betsy, do you have any comment? All right. And I'll just rebut what you guys said. I agree, the association's there, the road's good, drove all the way down, and I measured right from town maintained road all the way down. It's a mile. It's good condition. The association upholds everything. You know, to me, I feel that you satisfied the appeal, 674. Anybody have any motions?
Sure, I move that the zoning board approve case 21-7, the application by David Euler and Robert Brown, 216 Long Pond Road, for relief from the otherwise stringent requirements of 674-41, having met them to our satisfaction.
Have a motion by Ted. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Pam. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Betsy, how do you vote? Pam, how do you vote?
Yes?
Ted?
Yes.
And myself, yes. No, all set.
Thank you so much for everybody's time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Can I have
patience.
my copy back? Thank you.
It's a complicated process.
I gotta keep those. Thank you so much.
What do we have now? Andrews. Next will be case 21-4, Ralph and Denise Andrews, map 105, lot 10, 411 Bow Lake Road. This is for variances, Article 4B, variance for structure setback, septic. Article 4B, variance for structure setback, house and garage. Article 4B2, lot size, was .18 acres, where 2 acres is required. And Article 4B1C, road frontage, length of frontage, 150 is required, lot is 95 feet. All right, so we heard testimony on September 27th, and then new information was submitted a little past the deadline date of October 14th. It was received October 18th, so that's why we're here today. So if you want to proceed where we left off, we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think, well, at the last meeting, we went over the changes and everything, and then it was time for the board to review what we submitted. So I think what we presented is what our case is, and I think one of the last questions was, I think it was when you were here, Chair, was about the special characteristics of the property. I got a list of them, if you want me to go through, of what's kind of special about the property, or unique, I guess.
Please.
I have a procedural.
Yeah, I'd like to update, if I could, first, before we get into the substance of it. The question came up whether or not this actually could be considered a seasonal to year-round conversion. In looking into that, it appears that it should not have been set up that way due to the fact that it's an actual tear down, not a remodel or a remodel with a expansion, but the original building is completely going away and something else will be in its place. So because of the fact that the two issues at hand that there need relief from are the same, road frontage and lot size, I spoke with the building inspector, and he did a revised denial, which I sent out to everybody, and sent one to Mr. Frankowitz. So I think the only thing we need to look at tonight is, instead of that one item that in the testimony, in the minutes is relative to that when you get to that point, to request that Mr. Frankowitz add any comments relative to specifically road frontage and lot size, as opposed to the answers that were the seasonal to year-round, before you finalize any decisions.
And by the minutes, it looks like we have the setbacks listed for the septic, one of them, and then a second listing for the structure setback, house and garage. So my question was on protocol on non-conforming lot, which where we were before, 7C4, which it says lots whose maximum width is 100 feet or less shall use the following formula to determine side and rear setbacks. And it says the side and rear setback shall never be less than 10 feet. So I wanted clarity there whether or not that comes into effect, because the lot is at the front 95 feet and at the rear narrower, and I can't find a exaction here. I think it says 77 feet on the back for width. So you get 95.
Well, it's based on the 95 feet, which brings the setback down to 19 feet, I believe.
Right.
And
His rear is
77.
doesn't matter what the rear is. It's based on the frontage, the maximum of the frontage.
Right, so the setbacks to the rear is less than 10 feet with the new building. So that's my question, is we've got a non-conforming where it says the side and rear setback shall never be less than 10 feet, I'm sorry. And that gray area where I was concerned about the garage, that is over that line.
Right, but they have applied for a variance for that.
Right.
And that's what they're seeking the relief from. is
Right.
that-
I'm just wondering about the phrase side and rear setback shall never be less than 10 feet.
That's only if it's a 50-foot frontage.
I'm sorry, it's only if it's a,
If you look, the way that formula works is if it's down to 50 feet, it would be 10 feet of frontage, or a setback everywhere, so, and if it's, so
Right.
if you got a 40-foot lot, you still can't have less than 10
10
foot.
feet. So,
But that's why they're
to
asking
me,
for
I'm
a
reading this that it says
Oh,
never
I
less
see
than
what
10
you're
feet.
saying.
So if you have a new structure, it's not less, it is less than 10 feet, whether that is an issue. I'm just wondering about the phrase never.
What it means is if the frontage was only, say, 30 feet and it went below 10,
Right, on the calculation.
that the building inspector could not issue a permit.
Right, but this is 95 on the front, so frontage, you want to go by 95 feet, so it is less than the 100 feet. That is, it's...
Right, but it
Lots
makes his setbacks 19 feet.
19
He's
feet.
asking for relief from that.
That doesn't help him on the 19 feet if he's going to, what do we say, 6 feet. If 19 feet is the setback by calculation, and he's pretty much meeting that on the sides.
But there's no never on a zoning ordinance.
Okay, and then,
Anything, that's what the role of the zoning board is.
right,
And that's what a variance is. I mean, it's illegal permission to violate the zoning.
Right.
Right.
okay, so,
But that never less than 10 is related to the formula, not to the fact of what somebody can ask for.
okay, got you there. That was a sticking point, thank
You know,
you.
it's a good question, because I never read it that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it and, for general setback, so I'm considering that if you went less than 10 feet and another person was less than 10 feet, then you actually have a 20-foot width between structures if, and for safety and personnel, like a fire apparatus, people going behind there, to have homes that are too closely grouped would not be in the interest of public safety as far as closely grouped structures. So that's where my mind was heading on that.
Right,
And
well,
as it's
that's
not part of the main house, it's like, why?
I mean, that's the purpose of setbacks to begin with, is so that fires can't go from one structure to another.
Exactly,
Sunlight's being blocked because people are too close.
exactly, okay.
All of those type of things, yeah. Even for the 20 feet.
So we went over... So I'm just going to start with any additional information he has. We'll roll with that, and
Yeah,
then,
sure, that-
and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah,
All right?
I
All right.
was already offered to expand on the question of the uniqueness of the lot,
Right.
getting at question number 5, and
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that for sure.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Frankwitz?
Yeah, so the special characteristics of the property, or unique, would be that it's an existing parcel of record with a house on it since 1950s. It's located on a town road with direct access to the town road. We do have a new septic system approved by the state, the town and the state, which will be installed with the improvements. All the improvements proposed are further away from the property line than existing. And it's in an area of homes that are year-round homes. That was kind of a leftover from the seasonal, but it's still a fact that down there, most of the homes have been renovated and approved variances to upgrade. The lot is sloped, so the way to place the house and the septic and everything, that all comes into play which is a special characteristic of the lot. It slopes from the back to the road, and the lot is narrow, as we were just talking about, and fitting everything in with the setbacks for the state and everything, it makes it a unique lot.
I would think something just as simple as the actual lot size also makes it unique
Right?
compared to other lots in the neighborhood. I mean,
Yep.
that's what they're dealing with.
And I think the, pointing out the slope and possible ledge that's there does make it unique for location of your structure, and especially the septic.
Right, and one other factor is there is an existing well that will be reused, so they don't have to drill another well, which pushes the septic to the front as far as we could get it, approved by DES, and the slopes all work.
All right. So, I'm trying to find my minutes. So, if I recall right, let me just get to it for the minutes. We went over 21-4. So we went over the criteria, the 5 questions for the septic.
We went through all the criteria for all the variances.
Conforming.
The setback of the septic, we went over those questions. And then the non-conforming lot.
So,
Did all of
we
them.
did set, it's the same,
Septic was done. We did setback. Or, hold on.
non-conforming residence.
Hold on. Septic. The expansion. And then we went over the expansion, but
C4.
that's not
Not on your
for
list.
this.
That was
I
part
would
of,
suggest that you ask Mr. Frankowitz to provide some testimony on road frontage and lot size.
Good idea.
Septic.
yeah, those two have not
Done.
been covered, and I think the other one, the non-conforming resident, was that one that isn't applicable anymore. The one I was just on, 7C4.
Right, so it's the lot size.
Yeah, that was non-conforming lots.
The other
Should we-
option would be to address the structure setbacks first and then take the other 2 individually and just get more testimony from the applicant. Where you have the
So-
testimony on the other structure items.
Right, we have the testimony for the setback for the septic already.
Right.
We can move on with that one.
Residents.
And then we
You
got-
read those questions.
For the testimony for the setback for the house and garage.
7C. No, I don't think we did. They weren't separated at that point, were they?
No, they weren't.
Apologize, it gets complicated.
Well,
Yeah, the other one that was read was 7C4.
that was the
So, That was
conversion.
non-conforming lot resident, and
That was the
that was over on the other side. So it was kind of like at the beginning, we were taking them like all as one, reading the 4B, 4B, which would be the kind of the same as he read.
Well, we get the testimony for the septic setback.
Yes.
Let's, why don't we proceed with that one? Discuss that, and then we can figure out the other variances they're requesting. Anything further on the septic setback, or your testimony is good enough?
We went through it, and it's a
Yep.
state-approved septic system that
It is.
will be installed with the new home.
Absolutely, great. Any abutters here to speak on this, the setback for the septic? Nope. Oh, You want to just step up to the microphone, ma'am, and just state your name and where you reside. I don't know if that's on.
Might have to turn it on. There's
Yeah.
a little button on the mic.
Yep, right up toward the top.
It
No,
won't go over the live stream.
Who is
got a
it?
green, got a little button toward the, here, I'll come up.
Mr. I was going to say Mr. Andrews Mines.
Battery's dead. We could use one of...
The-
that mic
yeah.
just-
Mr. Andrews, yep.
Can I go ahead?
Sure, please
Okay.
do.
So keeping it rolling. So I'm Alicia Fix. I'm
Closer to the mic so you can pick it up.
Alicia Fix. For
Has to do with the live stream.
Thank you, Linda.
testing. Okay. Hi, Alicia Fix, 407 Bow Lake Road. If you're looking at the property, I'm the abutter to the left. All abutters were in attendance at last meeting, gave full support. So each issue that we go through today, I just want to let you know, we are completely supportive of septic and anything else in the plans. And we look forward to moving this forward and getting their builds complete. It's going to be a major improvement for the community and for the town as a whole. And we appreciate your focus, but look forward to moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Keep waiting for somebody to do a mic drop.
There was quite an impressive showing last time from
There was,
many
there
of
was,
us.
yes.
Every one of them was enthusiastic.
Yeah, I heard
Well
it. Yep.
spoken.
Right.
One of them.
Yep. All right. Betsy, do you have any comment on the septic setback? All right. Any other board members have any comments on the septic setback right now? I don't see any. All right. I'll close public comment for Article 4B, 4B variance for a structure setback for the septic. Anybody want to start? Does anybody have anything about it? I mean,
No
it's-
comments, no questions.
Yeah,
Kind of has to be where it has to be.
yeah, I mean, upgrading the septic, I mean, it's positive for everybody. Any further comment, Betsy? No. All right. We'll take a motion if anybody has a motion for the setback.
Go for it, Pam.
I will make a motion for Article 4B, B4B variance for structure setback septic system to
Please move on for,
apply the variance for reasons that, what's my reasons here? That it is not contrary to public interest because an improved septic system is great no matter where the location, but especially down by the waterfront. So this is a improvement, and it is not contrary to the spirit of the ordinance because it really needs to be in this location due to the lay of the land, and also as far as well and other abutters that are within a radius. So it has to be where it has to be.
Have a motion?
But is that all supposed to be incorporated in the motion? I mean, I think
You're
we've
supposed
agreed
to
we
have,
want
aren't you
to,
supposed to have reasons?
but we have reasons, and we've discussed it.
You have to
We're on the
read,
record.
yeah, you have to have a reason when you make,
Okay.
yeah, you have to, it's not in contrary, so you don't have to read them all, but you have to have one or
You can
two.
refer to the fact that ample information, evidence, and testimony has been presented, and that the board is satisfied that all the
Well,
criteria
you could
have
say
been met.
that,
That
but
does not work on an appeal,
you have to
Ted.
be as specific,
Okay.
yeah.
if anyone was to appeal, it's best to have
A specific reason pointed out why. Carved in
noted
stone.
reasons why you have approved
Yeah.
it.
We have a motion by Pam. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Ted. Any further discussion? Betsy, how do you vote? Pam?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Yes. That passes. Now on to the next one. Now, Article 4B. 4B, the variance for structure setback, the house and the garage. Yeah, not conforming lots. Do you have anything to add to this one, Mr. Frankowitz?
No, I think
Setback?
the only thing I'd like to point out, it is better than the existing. We are getting further away from the property line than the existing structure on the backside. And everywhere else around the property, we're getting better than the existing structure. So we're improving the setback to all property lines.
Thank you. Any abutters would like to speak on the property setback? Setback for the house and garage.
Just to go on record fully, I appreciate the last approval and this even more so. Abutter 407, Alicia Fix, and I just want to go on record that we fully support the setback of the garage and the house, and have no issue or questions, and look forward to having the beautiful house built.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions by the board to the applicant in reference to the structure setback?
Are we, I'm looking at the lot size frontage, seasonal dwelling and frontage, we're not doing that. And the reading of questions for, what we got, 4B, 4B?
Yeah, structure setback.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it
actually,
was originally-
technically it's F, but it's under
Right, it was
4B.
originally read for septic. I hate to do it to Susan, but does it have to be read again for structure?
Well, it should, I mean, there were questions that were answered as part of that, even though it said septic, but you're certainly willing, able to request some testimony on each of those 5 conditions for the garage and the house.
Right.
One other thing I will, I'll bring it up a little later, but please allow me to say something before you get to a vote. I'll wait till you're done with that part of it.
So what's the board's preference? Do we want to hear more testimony specifically to the setback to the house and the garage?
Yeah, just ask the questions and we'll get some answers and
Yeah.
Okay.
be in the record.
Okay.
I think
I think you
Absolutely.
can separate out, and if you were going to ask the questions or looking at the questions, separate out the septic system, reasons for being where it is, and go on to the, such as contrary to public interest. In particular, your side setbacks are not too bad, but in particular to the rear setback. And so, why it would not be contrary to the public interest, those kind of spirit of the ordinance, substantial justice, and those things that would apply in my questioning would be to the garage structure.
All right, we'll just,
Nope, that's it, we'll cover it.
so we'll just zip through the questions, and specifically about the setback for the garage and the house.
Yep. Yep.
So I'll just read the question like we typically do, and we'll go through it specifically for the variance for the structure, setback for the house and the garage. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because
The proposed home will improve the current situation. The existing home is 3.1 feet from the property line, and the proposed home will be no closer than 5.7 feet from the property line.
the use is not contrary to the spirit of the ordinance because
The proposed home will be further from the property line than the current home that resides on the property.
hold on. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because
It would allow the applicant to build a year-round home built to meet current building codes and New Hampshire DES regulations. The existing home was built in 1956 as a seasonal home. And that's all I have for that.
the proposed use would not diminish surrounding property values because
The existing home was built in 1956 and is in disrepair. The proposed home would be built to current codes, building codes, and will not diminish the surrounding properties. In contrast, it will have the opposite effect and increase the value of the surrounding properties and potentially the subject property and potentially the surrounding properties.
literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because the special conditions of this property that distinguish it from other properties in the area are as follows.
The existing home was built in 1956 as a seasonal home, and the applicant proposes to replace the home with a year-round home to build current building codes. And I would just add, at that point, add the special conditions that we had talked about at the beginning of the meeting about special characteristics of the property.
Owing to the special conditions of the property set forth above that distinguish it from other properties in the area, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance and the specific application of that provision to the property because
I don't have anything written for that, but the special characteristics of the property is that it's an existing parcel with a house on it since the 1950s. It's located on a town road. It has a new New Hampshire DES septic system approved, and all the improvements will be further away from the property than the existing house. And it's a slope lot and small, narrow lot.
the proposed use is a reasonable one because
The applicant is replacing a 1956 home with a year-round home built to current building code standards in the area of year-round homes.
any comments in reference to the setback from the board?
Well, I think those are good answers.
Existing garage, one stall, two stall.
One stall, correct?
Yes, one stall.
New garage, one
One-
stall, two stall.
One stall, 16 feet.
I see the attic space above it. And I did ask that question before, whether there was consideration of making living space or usage of the area over the garage for human occupancy.
That's just considered
No,
storage.
The storage, so it's not a huge, because I do see entrance to it from the guest bedroom up on the second floor, as opposed to, I think, to me, the garage is a sticking point, only, not that I don't want you to have a garage, and I do want you to have the home, but it's the idea of that 4 feet, to go to 10, and it's always that if there is an ability to come into better compliance, and Mr. Frankowitz's interpretation of better compliance is 2 feet. And my interpretation of better compliance is 10 feet. which is in keeping with what I still interpret in 7C for non-conforming. So I'm just, that's kind of my sticking point, is essentially 4 feet. And I'm trying to look for something that I can, justify this. The existing garage, I can see why you wouldn't want to keep it. And it's that little sticking point of having the additional feet and hoping for, I don't know, shortening. I can't do architectural things as far as changing structure or anything like that with your plan, but it's the idea of that setback, and I'm only kind of holding to it as public safety and all of that. And it is tight out back there. There's no question with the building that is there currently and with the garage that it is tight out there, and it's very rocky. And my concern would be for, safety personnel having to navigate in the back of the building and having enough room for hoses and all that. So that is my sticking point. I'm pretty good on the sides. I think you've done the best you could with the radius you have. And I'm trying to think whether you got up to 18 feet at one point, was it?
It ranges
18,
from
yeah, you shifted
15.8
that one.
to 23.8.
Yeah, you got 15.8 and 18.5, and you got the 23.8, bringing it around. So that's my sticking point, is that back there, that 5.7 and 6.6. And I'm trying to wrap my head around that. So that's where I'm stymied at the moment. So if you could help me with...
Yeah, I think it's been, in the current situation, has been there since the 1950s, and we're making it better. It's been there for 50, 60 years as it is, and we're improving that situation. It's an existing home with a garage. To replace the home without a garage, you're asking them to lose, even though it's a single-car garage. It's an important part of the feature of the structure, and we are improving it. And it's 3.5 feet better than existing. I guess that's where I'm struggling with. We're improving the situation. We're not making it worse.
Right.
The 10 feet is irrelevant, really, because that's just the formula. That's the base, the minimum with the base, but we're not even using that formula. Our setback is 19. So the 10 feet isn't a factor in this, I think. But we are making the situation better.
Betsy, do you have any comments in reference to the setback of the house and garage? Okay, thank you. Is that a basement, like the same as the garage? Not the garage, but the driveway? Is that a basement, first floor? And then...
Well, the garage will be on a slab
Yeah.
into the first floor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that was another reason Mr. Witcher talked about at the last meeting was, as Andrews get older, coming out of the garage into the first floor is beneficial. There was talk about trying to put it up front, but that doesn't really work. Then you get several flights of stairs to go instead of maybe one if they want to go up to the second floor. But to get to the first floor, they can pull up to that garage and walk in and live on that first floor if they chose to.
I don't have anything on that. Linda, did you have something you wanted to...
I will, once you close public
Okay.
comment.
All right.
Something for the board.
Everybody think we have enough information in reference to the setback?
I certainly do.
Pam, you good, or do you have any other questions or anything else?
I think my quandary would be within myself on the statute.
Sure.
And I'm not sure that, like I said, we're at a crossroad between Mr. Frankowicz's improvement on the setback and my visual of the 10 feet on the setback. And because it is a garage, not a home, a living structure, that is where my mind is stymied on that, so.
Okay. We took public input. We'll close public comment at this time. Linda?
I am just going to suggest that should the board go forward with an affirmative vote, that they should consider a couple items as conditions of approval of the variance. One is to state on the record that it is based on the October 18th plan that was submitted. So it's clear exactly what the setbacks are, and to require the applicant to amend the building permit to note that, because at the time of the building permit, it was different than it is now. Even though it's less, it should reflect what's being approved. And also to require a licensed land surveyor to do a certification of the, Betsy's shaking her head? No?
No,
That she can't hear, or?
Betsy, can you hear us?
Okay. Where the foundation is, because it's going to be a complete tear down and rebuild, and it's very close to the lot line, so it should be staked out by an LLS prior to any construction beginning. That is, and I'm not trying to preclude your decision one way or the other as far as approval or denial, but should you go that way, those are things that should occur so that there is, that information is on the record.
Okay, thank you.
Should we require a survey plan of the as-built new building? We know where the old one was, and we understand the setbacks, but it seems to me the question is, where does the new one end up? And I think that's the...
Well, I think that if there's, I don't know what we'd call it,
It's a-
Scott would know whether it's
It's
a
a
pin
certified
or a...
foundation plan, which I believe the building department already requires for a surveyor to go out, locate the foundation, and confirm that it meets what was approved.
That would satisfy me. Because we're not, I mean, they're not asking to review something.
Well, my concern is that it's clear before the foundation's poured that,
Typically, on a situation like this, the client would hire us to go out and stake the foundation, the excavation company come in and excavate it. Then we'd go back and actually stake the hole out. They'd put the footings in, and we'd go back and it's called pinning the foundation and setting the exact corners. And then they build the walls, and then we locate the walls and prepare a plan similar to this one.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm suggesting that be a requirement as opposed to typically that the applicant would do that, just so that it's very clear that all of that will be done, should you approve it.
Okay.
Any criteria there?
So, I think we kind of,
1, 2, 3, and 3 is...
so, I'll kind of just start, if you don't mind, just some discussion. I mean, like Mr. Frankowitz says, it's better than the existing home, and I understand, Pam, 3 feet compared to 10, 20 feet. I understand that aspect. He is improving, they are improving the lot. Is it a whole lot? No. But I think just the improvement with, the 3 feet is better. They are improving the whole lot, not just adding the garage to it. Live there, have access to the house, be able to use the house, just improving everything. That's kind of where I stand on it. I think it works out, but Pam, anything?
No, like I said, I've already kind of said
Yeah.
that, my sticking point is the garage as non-living space. And it's not that I don't want you to have a garage. It's this whole idea of, with architectural plans and designs available, to have something that's in better compliance. This is beautiful, it's lovely. But it's not, the building is not of the interest. The land is of interest to me. And as the rights go with the land, no matter who owns it, it stays with the land. So that is just where my sticking point is on the narrowness of the back there, and also the rockiness of the back. I don't foresee your abutter coming within 10 feet of his property line. I don't think that would happen, as he's well set back, but you never know, and I can't foresee the future. So I can't say no based on, well, what happens if this person does that? I can't say that. So I'm just, listening. I thank you for your input just now about, it is no question it's an improvement of the lot, no question. It's just the question of having the ability to do the complete tear down and rebuild in better conformity would just be my differences. And I think that's where Mr. Frankowitz and I will always probably disagree, is between, what is good for him is maybe not good enough for me, as far as I want this and he wants this. So it always comes down to this. So.
I understand the problem. Actually, I fully agree with that, and I think it's a really good all-around comprehensive plan. It's good for everybody involved. I think that's a good workable building plan there. I personally don't have the same degree of difficulty with the setback number. The narrowness and the rockiness, the back part of the lot is part of the uniqueness of the lot.
That's a good point.
Gives us the ability to approve it.
Betsy, do you have anything to discuss in reference to the setback? If anybody has a motion, we'll entertain a motion.
Well, sure. I move the zoning board approve the variance for Article 4B, variance for structure setback, house and garage. Having listened to the answers to the questions and being satisfied that they have been fully answered, I also propose conditions on the approval. One being that it's clearly stated on the record that what we are approving tonight is based on the October 18th plan. Second, that the building permit be amended to reflect that and the relevant dimensions thereof. And third, that a certified foundation plan be submitted. I understand that may be part of the building permit process, but I want to make that explicit in our motion, that we are looking for a land surveyor to pin the corners of the new foundation.
I think the difference is that, and I think Mr. Frankowitz explained it, is not just the after the fact, but before the fact, so that the building inspector could go out and actually inspect to make sure that he had marked the location prior to the pouring of the foundation. I suggest this only because we did have a situation where a number of years ago, a garage came before the zoning board, was granted a variance, and ended up being in the wrong location, even though there was a certified plot plan, and before the garage got built, the foundation the slab had to be broke up, and because they went ahead without really, just taking a measuring tape or whatever, so it certainly helps the building inspector if in these really tight lots where you're really close to boundary lines, if it's a requirement that there be some indication by an LLS as to where that is.
Yep. Well, I'd be happy, a little bit out of order here, but to amend my proposed motion to include flagging of the site prior to excavation and pinning of the new foundation corners when done.
Motion from Ted. Do we have a second?
Thank you, Betsy.
Second from Betsy. Any further discussion? Ted, how do you vote?
Yes.
Pam?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Now you have to vote.
I have to vote.
Yes, you've sat through the testimony, you need to vote.
Okay. I'll vote yes.
Betsy? And myself, yes. Variance for structure setback is complete. Move on to Article 4B2, lot size. Lot is .18 acres, where 2 acres is required. Non-conforming lot.
So the variance that we had submitted, or the expansion conversion submittal, was, we spoke to the lot size and frontage on that. And I can reread those into the record if you like.
You mind just touching upon any comments you have in reference to the lot size specifically?
One of the comments I had made was that it will be built to building codes and installing a new DES approved septic system, which goes into the lot size and how they approve that. It's a 2-bedroom system. The max DES will approve on small lots like this, and it is a geomat system, which is a newer system. It's and it's very small. It's a very small system for a 2-bedroom because it's a .18 acre site. There were some waivers that DES approved from the wellhead, but they felt it was approvable and approved it as an approved system to be installed.
Any board members have any comments in regards to the lot size?
Nope, it's small, but it is what it is.
Stole my mind. I think because it had an existing building on it already, it's already a residence, although seasonal, that it obviously can sustain a building, so that is in your favor.
I agree with you, Pam, same thing. Yeah, existing building already. You're just doing a different design, the way I look at it, and updating the systems on the lot. Betsy, do you have any comments about the lot size? No. All right. Any abutters present want to speak on the lot size?
Just to drive the point home as we finish this, the lot size, it is what it is. The existing property has been in use for many, many years. as far as families and entertaining, and has never had an issue. So this is a beautiful house, and we are excited to see, the improvements that will better the community and Northwood overall. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'll close public comment. And, yeah, Pam, do you want to start this time? And anything about the lot size that we didn't already cover? Or
No,
drive home?
essentially, as Ted so aptly put it, it is what it is.
Okay.
I agree with it. I mean, in my mind, it's altogether different if somebody is asking for permission to build something new on such a
Right.
undersized lot, but this is not that situation at all. And part of the intent of the various ordinances that we're dealing with and the variances that we're working through is to make the town better, to accommodate existing conditions, to help people do sensible conversions, and that's what I believe this is.
Betsy, do you have any discussion points or anything in reference to the lot size? Okay, thanks. Yeah, I agree with you guys, and also I think it would be a hardship for them if, if they wouldn't be able to do anything with the lot.
He's listening.
So, yeah, I think you guys said it perfect. It is what it is. Can't get any more land. But, all right.
I can make a motion, make you feel better.
Go for it.
I will make a motion to grant the what are we doing? The variance for 7B2 lot size. Lot has 0.18 acres where 2 are required. I believe it's not contrary to the spirit of the ordinance because it is a property that has already had existing structure upon it. And it would do substantial justice because it is a improvement to this lot with the new septic and the improved structure. So I think the 0.18 is sustainable. And pending all other certifications and criteria is already applied in the previous motion.
Motion by Pam. Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll
Betsy,
I
second?
was just going to say that, for the record, this, I believe, is Article 4B2, lot size, not Article 7, as stated.
I apologize. 4B2 lot size. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for the
Susan? Okay, thank you.
motion by Pam, second by Betsy. Any further discussion? Ted, how do you vote?
In favor, yes.
Pam?
A vote in favor?
Betsy? And myself is yes. Lot size is complete. And moving right on, Article 4B1C, road frontage. Length of frontage of 150 feet is required. Lot has 95 feet. Mr. Frankwitz, do you want to just touch upon specifically the road frontage on this lot?
I would just say that, as we've been talking, it's an existing house on the property with the same frontage that's going to remain. It's not going to be altered, and it's functioning as safe access to Bow Lake Road, is what the 150 feet is really for, is to make sure driveways are spread apart far enough. And this has been working safely for 60 years.
I will agree with you on that matter. I backed out of your driveway and was able to do so with confidence. And most roads in Northwood you cannot back out onto, but you're able to have visual from left and right. And your driveway itself is not changing except at the top. You're not, moving it. So I think it's a good point that it is existing.
Ted, any comment? Any questions for the applicant?
Nope, Neither comment nor question. Thank you.
All right. Betsy, you have any questions or comments for the applicant on the road frontage? All right, thanks. I'm all set with the road frontage. Any abutters would like to speak on the road frontage? You don't have to. If you, yeah, you don't have to if you don't want to. I think you drove the point home.
Got it.
Thank you. No comments from the public. I will close public comment. And anybody have anything for the discussion? I mean, I think everybody's already stated about the road frontage, you know, just
I'd like to make a motion.
have at it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Unless you had something to say, or Betsy had something to say. I'll make a motion to grant variance for Article 4B1C road frontage. Length of frontage 150 is required, has 95 feet. Granting the variance would not be public to contrary interest because it is an existing driveway already, been functioning for, as stated, many years. And it is not contrary to the spirit of the ordinance because in interest of public safety, it already is a good road access. And yes,
A motion by Pam, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ted. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ted, how do you vote?
Yes.
Pam?
yes.
Betsy? And myself is yes. Thank you, Mr. Andrews and Mr. Frankowitz. All right, you're welcome. Thank you. How do people feel for like a 3-minute break? Use the rest facilities. All right, Betsy, 3-minute break. All right. And who's the next one?
All right, I'll fold this one up.
I gotta use the facility. Let me go that way. So.
I tried to pack up stuff the other day, and I had all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I was loading up another Sterlite.
Just only going to suggest that at least you would mention the idea of breaking the setbacks apart. That's something that probably should be done on each one, especially where they're entirely different criteria.
Yeah, but you got A and B there, so wouldn't they be separate anyway?
That's what I'm saying. I think originally they were listed
Oh,
together.
gotcha, okay, yeah, I think they should
And
be done.
you may want to, I mean, where you're making that change, you may want to consider doing those first. Yeah, you
Well,
can
they're
change them.
probably the ones we will discuss the most.
Right, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I was trying to get my head around the whole shamil there, and so we were on 39. Look at this, the papers are narrowing
I know,
down,
they
huh?
are. Yeah, I've got a finished file and still working file. And a ladybug.
Well, I shared my
Gee,
ladybug
thank
with you.
That's so kind of you.
It must have been the warm weather today brought them out, huh?
It
All
surely has
right,
been
so
nice.
page 39.
Do you have a copy of that latest and greatest conservation thing
I do.
These guys do. I have it only on my phone.
The only real difference is they asked about the share. I mean, they reaffirmed the first.
The first letter, yes.
I'll just make a couple copies.
Yes, please. My chair from rolling.
I know. I noticed that every
And
time I sit on the side of the building.
if you look at, like, some people just lean way back.
Yeah, some
and
do,
the
but I-
chairs, like, the chair backs are getting ripped and the...
I might bring a little pocket level in sometimes just to check the levelness or lack thereof of the floor. 'cause
That
it
should be
certainly axes over. rolling backwards.
No problem. So, just, point of order, did you guys did touch upon this application in the last meeting, or you didn't? I can't recall.
Well, we did.
I know you asked, obviously, to mark
We
it
did,
out.
we asked
I
them
went
to
down
mark,
there.
yeah, to mark,
Yeah.
the...
And was there an issue with noticing, or no?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so.
okay.
She was noticing.
You approved the first variance.
Did we now?
100 feet.
The road
Road
frontage?
frontage?
Yes.
Yes, we did. No,
Yes,
it's tough for me. Yeah, we did. We applied, we passed
Length of frontage, but not the type.
road frontage. We did
Length.
pass road frontage.
So we're not doing the length tonight.
The 4B1B road frontage, private road.
You're saying we did that?
I have on my notes that we passed that one.
Okay, I thought it was the length that we had.
And we got held up at the setbacks. And that's when we asked for the markings on the road and stuff. And I don't
Thank
think
you.
we got to the lot size.
Ted actually printed and he passed his down to me, so I got this. So we just gave him back his.
Everybody has
Yeah.
Karen is
Ted,
Karen.
you want yours back? I'll take that
Got
one.
it.
Do you have a you want yours
No,
back?
no, I'm good.
All right.
Sorry then.
Let me just get a
Paper
little
isn't as warm on those.
organized
original.
here so I can just get out.
And I have that I don't know if that's exact yet.
Yep, you did.
I have that we passed the road frontage, the 4B1B.
Length or height? Frontage.
There was road frontage, type of frontage, located on private road.
You're saying.
And I have that we passed, but we don't have the minutes from.
Do we have the
last-
vote, Susan?
And then
Because if we had talked about.
I don't have a note here for that we passed lot size, but I know.
All right.
Yeah, we might have. I didn't note it, but there's a big circle there around the.
You were still discussing lot size.
We're still discussing lot size.
Not sure why, but
And if we discussed and along past the type of road frontage, I mean, that edges over into 67441, right? And I don't recall a specific reference
This
to
one
that.
is exempt from that,
It is, okay.
yes.
Well, can you
The
explain?
reason it's exempt is because the road is on a subdivision plan recorded at the registry that has the planning board signature on it, which
Okay.
exempts it from having to appeal it.
Okay, all right.
Whether or not it's maintained.
So.
Right. 4B1, B, and C. So that could be a problem there. Because if I'm correct, we passed Article 4B, 1B, and C together. Last
Type
meeting,
and length.
which was type and length. And we're unsure whether we got to lot size or not, but we did,
I think
we
had-
did stop at more questions on the wetlands.
That's right.
Deep edge of wetlands. Okay, I got you there with the building. So you're saying exempt.
Is that? Okay. So apparently you combined it and passed
The road frontage length and type.
for type and length, you combined it.
Right, and I think in the packet that we had been given with the better breakdown with the page numbers, it did occur on that sheet as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear any of that.
So it occurred as, B and C occurred as one variance on the sheet that you had typed
Yes.
with the page number?
Yes.
So that is why we did it that way. It should be fine, we already passed it, so.
I'm hoping to be able to, when I'm going to do these worksheets every month, sooner rather than later.
Definitely helpful.
But everything should have its own vote.
Its own bulletin, you said?
So 4A,
Vote and
Oh,
Yeah, clear vote for,
is wetland.
right, yeah, right, yeah.
That's wetland on that
because
one.
the type of frontage is different than the length of frontage.
right.
Yep.
4B.
One is a dimensional requirement, the other is a requirement to upgrade the road to a standard.
Sure.
All right, so
If that hadn't been exempted, perhaps we wouldn't have done it that way. I can't
So
remember.
tonight, we're discussing the lot size wetlands.
yeah, and I don't have, it looks like this was prepared to have 4B4, and then at the top with his questions, it also has the 4B, 4B, 4B. So, and it's not, there's an F here, so,
It's 6A, 4A, not 4. We're talking about the wetland
gotcha,
setback?
okay, so, but on your sheet, there is no 6. Gotcha, 6, yeah, forget it, you know where I am.
Yeah, the wetland, yeah.
So those questions, and then lot size was 4B2. These are tough. 4B, because it doesn't say anywhere that this one is 4B2 is lot size.
Do you have this sheet, Pam?
From today, yes.
Oh, okay,
That's the one I'm looking at.
all right.
So I'm trying to match up what was submitted versus what was done.
Oh,
What was
Yeah,
done
I didn't have that 6A number. I never
Yeah.
had that 6A number.
The 6A wetland setback. That
I did
was written-
a 4B4 setback
Right, and
B, which was wetland.
that is written on the top of, you did a 4B4B,
Right.
and on the top of mine, Linda Smith is initialed 4A4A.
6A.
should have
Over
been
here on the
6,
right,
I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah, you were just saying she did this right. That's
6.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Are you?
Scandinavian, the whole Roman thing for us.
All right, well, we'll officially come back. We'll start with, we have case 21-6, Jean Pinard, 26 Newman Drive, map 125, lot 14. Applicant is proposing to replace a carport and porch with a new garage and deck and is requesting the following relief. Article 4B2, lot size. Lot has .29 acres where 2 acres are required. Article 6A, 4A, wetland setbacks, and Article 4B, 4F, deck 9.1 feet, stairs at 5.9 feet, and garage 8.5 feet to be placed within 20-foot structure setback. Tonight, I'd like to start with the wetland setback, if you guys are fine with that. I know
6A, 4A.
we'll start, 6A, 4A, wetland setback. Mr. Bernard, we'll start with the wetland setback there.
Okay.
Want to just give us an overview, or do you have anything to say for the wetland setback before we get into the questions?
Just that it's a DES-approved wetlands permit has been granted, and for shoreline and wetlands. And the house is already within that area. The garage, one corner will be a little closer, but the further corner of the garage will be further away than what the carport was. So, in the back, the stairway will come close to the wetlands, but I may push that over again. I may take off a foot or two off of that, adding more distance from the wetland, but there's still plenty of room there.
5.9 feet.
It's like not, where that wetland delineator is, it's not really wet there. It's a slope. But that's going by the soil test down below.
Mm-hmm.
For the board's information, wetlands, when they're delineated, are considered designated wetlands under the jurisdiction of DES.
Correct.
Thank you.
So you said DES granted the permit?
Yes, I have a permit, and it's in the bundle of all the stuff you have someplace.
So,
So do we have the?
we never received a copy of any of the wetland permits.
You applied for a wetlands permit or a shoreland permit?
This is shoreline permit, and
Are you impacting the wetlands or is it a shoreland?
It's two different things, correct?
right, they were supposed, it says within, adjacent to wetlands or surface waters. Oh, that's just what you have to do.
I don't have,
I don't have any permits
Yeah, I don't have any
in
permits.
my stack of paperwork for this application.
Do you have a copy of your shoreland permit with you or?
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. There's supposed to be, it should include all the wetlands and
Well, just so
When
you
the-
understand, it's two separate things. One is state
Right.
requirements and one is the zoning ordinance.
right.
Now, is that something,
I can see that,
could-
I'd be glad to make.
yeah, I was going to say, you want to submit that? Yeah.
This was given to you guys.
yeah, we don't have it.
It's probably in the building permit.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So the permits.
Erosion control.
We suppose the applicant has seen this?
I don't know, we'll have to ask Linda, because she made copies.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to read some of that into the record so Betsy's aware of it.
Application. Is that Mr.
Get
Pinard's?
his original back.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Does Mr. Kennard have the conservation?
Oh, that's right.
Commission letter?
Yes, he does.
Okay, great, thank you. So Betsy, we just received the shoreline impact permit. I will read it into the record, and so you can also, you have an idea what we're talking about. The shoreline permit application 2021-00612 has been found to meet or exceed the requirements of RSA 483B as required per RSA 483-B6. 2. The New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services hereby issues the shoreline impact permit with conditions pursuant to RSA 483B6-2. The permit description: impact 1,630 square feet of protected shoreland in order to raise the existing carport, construct a 20-foot by 26-foot garage, relocate and expand the front steps, winterize the existing enclosed porch, raise steps, and construct a deck and steps. Impervious surface percentage approved, 22.2%. Natural woodland area required per RSA 483B9 5B, 899 square feet. The following project specific conditions have been applied to the permit pursuant to ENV-WQ 1406-15C. All work shall be in accordance with plans by Meridian Land Services dated March 1st, 2021, and received by the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services on March 10th, 2021, pursuant to 483B5B. Permit required. Exemption I-1A. Within 3 days of the final grading, a temporary suspension of work in an area that is in or adjacent to wetlands or surface waters, all exposed soils shall be stabilized by seeding and mulching during the growing season, or if not within the growing season, by mulching with tack or netting and pinning on slopes steeper than 3 to 1 as required pursuant to RSA 483B9 5D, erosion and siltation 1. The proposed roof drip line shall be installed and maintained to effectively absorb and infiltrate stormwater in order to ensure compliance with RSA 483B9 5G. Photographs documenting the construction of the proposed roof drip line shall be submitted to the department prior to any party taking up occupancy of the new residential primary structure as required per RSA 483B6 2 and Rule ENV-WQ 1406.15. And C, in order to ensure compliance with RSA 483B9 5G. This permit shall not preclude NHDS from taking any enforcement or revocation action as authorized pursuant to 483B5-1, or I, if NHDES later determines that any of the structure depicted as existing on the plan submitted by the applicant were not previously permitted or grandfathered. Following standard. Read the whole thing. The following standard project conditions shall be met pursuant to ENV-WQ 1406.20. Erosion and siltation control measures shall be installed prior to the start of work, be maintained throughout the project, and remain in place until all disturbed surfaces are stabilized. erosion and siltation controls shall be appropriate to the size and nature of the project and to the physical characteristics of the site, including slope, soil type, vegetation cover, and proximity, I can't even say that, to wetlands or surface waters. No person undertaking any activity in the protected shoreline shall cause or contribute to or allow the activity to cause or contribute to any violations of the surface water quality standards established in ENVWQ 1700. Any fair use shall be clean sand, gravel, rock, or other suitable material. For any project where mechanized equipment will be used, orange construction fence shall be installed prior to the start of the work at the limits of the temporary impact area as shown on the approved plan, be maintained throughout the project and remain in place until all mechanized equipment has been removed from the site. I have a tough time with that word. Any individual conducting work under this permit is advised of the following. During construction, a copy of the permit shall be posted on site in a prominent location visible to inspecting personnel. The permit does not convey a property right, nor authorize any injury to property or others, nor invasion of the right of others, pursuant to ENV-WQ 1406, period 21. Transfer of this permit to a new owner requires notification to and approval of NHDES. This project had been screened for potential impact to known occurrences of protected species and exemplary natural communities in the immediate area. Since many areas have never been surveyed or only cursory surveys have been performed, unidentified sensitive species or communities may be present. This permit does not absolve the permittee from due diligence in regard to state, local, or federal laws regarding such communities or species. This permit does not authorize in any way the take of threatened or endangered species as defined in RSA 212-A2 or of any protected species or exemplary natural communities as defined in RSA 217-A3. That's the shoreline impact permit. Shoreline impact permit.
You guys will keep reading and do the conservation.
No, good, absolutely. I just grabbed it. So, Mr. Bernard, you get the memo from the Northwood Conservation Committee?
Yes.
All right. I'm just going to read that into the record. So, from the Northwood Conservation Committee, in reference to Bernard case 21-6, variance to wetlands setback for structure. The review comments. It is ecologically detrimental for further development to be allowed on this non-conforming lot to build a garage and deck in a wetland setback. The house is in the setback already, and the additional building projects would increase the probability of pollutants and sedimentation impacts to the stream that appears to be on the lot, as well as Lucas Pond. Lucas Pond is a valued fishing pond on which motorized watercraft is prohibited in order to protect its water quality. It should also be pointed out that this project may require a NHDES wetlands permit as well as an NHDES shoreland permit. The proposed structure may have disturbances within the 20-foot setback from the stream to the top of the bank. As regards to the shoreland permit, placement of a structure more than 50 feet from the reference line of Lucas Pond, if within the 250-foot protected shoreline, and whose footprint is greater than 150 square feet, requires a shoreland permit. It's from the Northwood Conservation Committee. Yes, Betsy. Sure, absolutely.
We did that.
The permit?
Oh, you're talking about the shoreline permit?
Right.
Yes.
It's not required by the state. It's not a requirement. They see them as an after the fact. They do not have a role in the shoreline permit application process. You have seen this. It was sent to, oh, you're talking about the
Yeah.
shoreline permit?
Permit.
I didn't submit it tonight. I submitted it months ago. I've had it since February.
All right.
Betsy, I don't know if you heard him, but he
April.
submitted it to the building inspector, and it only came up because the Conservation Commission just asked for it to be sure that it was met, and Chairman Miller just read the entire thing into the record, that it was part of the record and was submitted. I think the first part of the paragraph, which you should have received via email, did you receive this memo from the Conservation Commission? They only looked at it last Wednesday night, and then it was submitted on Friday. I received it and then bumped it right to the zoning board. Neither did anyone else, but it's a matter of record that was in the file. The note from the Conservation Commission was just noting that that should be checked. They made no comment as to anything beyond just to confirm that it in fact had received a shoreline permit, which it has. And they reaffirmed their original comment by the whole board voting for that first section relative to it being detrimental.
So,
The shoreline permit we have, does it require a wetlands permit from DEP?
No, they're not impacting any wetlands that I'm aware of, and
Okay.
Not touching.
there's been no wetlands. It's the wetlands buffer that's the regulation.
And as far as impacting the stream and lake, it's going to be less impacting with the mitigation that the shoreline permit requires. So the garage is going to improve the runoff situation completely with the 2-foot by 1-foot deep rock drip line, and during construction there's required full mitigation of full fencing and silt runoff prevention. So I disagree with the conservation that there's going to be pollution and runoff increases. There's going to be less potential with it being done.
You may recall that at the last meeting that I brought up the fact that typically the first course of approach would be to go for a special exception, because that basically says if you meet these criteria, then the zoning board must approve it. Those criteria are in the zoning ordinance. The applicant chose not to go that route, but to request a variance. So the standard, which is typically higher for a variance, that you have to prove those 5 conditions have been met. When you go, that's why the special exceptions are there's two of them within the Wetland Conservation Overlay District, because it does require that the applicant meets with the Conservation Commission, has a discussion, are there other ways that you could mitigate being in that buffer, and having that type of dialogue, and then the commission would write back their findings. That did not occur. So the fact that you're saying that they were unaware of it, part of it is because of the way that the applicant chose to apply for relief.
Yes, I did not know anything about a special exception process. Being new to this.
Mr. Pinard, do you have anything you'd like to add about the wetlands, the wetland setback? Other than
The work is just going to improve the situation with the garage. Right now, it has a driveway that slopes down into the wetlands, and everything runs down the driveway into the wetlands. That will be improved with the garage there and the mitigation that DES requires with the drip line. That will prevent all that runoff.
All right, thank you. Any abutters present want to speak? Don't see any. Nope. Any board members have anything for the applicant in regards to the wetlands setback? Ted, do you want to start?
Well, I wish there were a way of reconfiguring this project so that it doesn't further impact the wetland setback. I mean, I completely agree with the first paragraph in the Conservation Commission's notice. I mean, apparently state is not involved, and that's fine, so we're just looking at local considerations, but Lucas Pond is, in fact, a really clean, small pond. They don't allow motorboats on it to try to keep it that way. This house and many others, frankly, are right on the pond. I am having a very hard time figuring out how to vote yes to allow stairs and more building encroaching even further into the wetland setback. I mean, I appreciate the fact that there's some runoff mitigation and a drip line, and I'm glad that there's discussion about that and awareness of it. But the fact remains that it's a very small, non-conforming lot, and the applicant is asking permission to expand the building on a non-conforming lot into wetland setback, and I am not prepared to agree to that.
You probably know how I feel about in narrowness with your 5.9 feet of your porch stairs and the edge there. So you know that whole porch really is an encroachment, and again, it's not living space, it's not home, it's a porch. Yeah, it's a building, it's a structure. So it is encroaching into the wetlands, and it is narrow there, and you said it's not that narrow, and it's like I almost fell in because I'm walking along, and it was narrow there.
Yeah, well, I was looking at that. It is narrow, but I was thinking of moving that back in some, shrinking the porch, maybe 2 feet or something.
And it is sloping from the house down in there. It is a hell of a, excuse my French, it is a quite, you know, coming down the staircase at a good clip with ice, you'd probably be right down in the ravine there.
No, the staircase doesn't go that direction.
Yeah, it goes that way.
It goes straight towards the lake. It doesn't go towards the ravine.
And it is quite yeah, I think ravine is almost a term for what that stream is there. When I visited the other day, it had a fairly good flow on it.
Yeah, that's a high flow.
Yeah, and I did wonder about in the thaw or in high water season.
That's about as high as it gets. Because of this year, that's about as high as it ever gets.
I know it comes over the road. So
well, that's only when they release up at the upper road, it gets blocked up, and they release it. then it comes down and flows over that road because they release it all at once.
Right, and it looks like it's something that happens frequently, or not frequently, but yearly.
It has this year, but usually it dries up. This is a seasonal stream.
Yeah,
It
because
dries
looking
up
at
in
the
the summer.
stream, it wasn't a indication in the wetlands on the other side of the road that it shows that this water has risen multiple times.
Yeah.
And has come over. The culvert obviously is not substantial.
There's plans to fix that before this winter.
Well, and that's where I wonder what the larger size culvert will do to the water flow into that ravine, because now you're going to put a larger size culvert in, so where the water...
Well, there was one previously.
Well, where the water comes over the road, if it's over the road, it's diverting onto your abutter and over, so you're not really seeing what the capacity of that stream could be. And you said there was a larger one?
Yes, there was one the size that we're going to put in. The
Right.
problem with that one was it was corrugated on the inside, and
Hang up.
sticks would get stuck,
Sure.
and then it would plug up.
Sure. So I'm just looking at a narrow wetland strip there, and I am almost, I'm really, this conservation, the ecologically detrimental for further development. And I'm looking too over at the well radius septic system, and now we're going to plop a garage down there. And I'm a little concerned, having walked over the front there where the septic tank, there's a lot of sand and stuff there, very soft. So you've got an existing drilled well or artesian, and then you've got a septic system very, very close to it, almost as close to the well as could possibly be. And then the garage coming in right next to the septic system, and the radius there. So it's almost like this garage is ambitious, and it itself does encroach further into the wetland, albeit by a foot or so. I don't have a size on that additional encroachment, but. And I did read the fine print here on your construction sequence and, what they will do to protect erosion control measures. But yeah, and again, that subsurface does not address the condition of the daily capacity of the existing septic system. Lot lines are approximate, and this is from 2006 on the septic system. And you said the septic was done like 5 years ago?
Septic system?
Yeah. You said it was new. It was done
No.
2006?
No. It was done in 95, I believe. But
Didn't you say it was done?
I bought the place in 2006. The septic system wasn't done then.
Yeah. So you don't know what the condition is of the septic?
I had it checked and pumped recently, and I have a slip with the permit, and maybe only the inspector has it, saying it's approved and no issues with the existing system. It's really been used since 2006. That's what I mentioned.
Okay.
Because no one's really lived there. I had a friend living there for a couple years, but basically it's hardly been used the last 15 years.
So we really don't know, what its condition and capacity is at this point. And the garage also is clearly within the well radius there, the new garage, along with the wetland encroachment and shoreline. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm looking at. And it's,
Yeah.
you know, that radius, and you've got the leach field in there, and the garage is really, really close to that.
Who added the handwriting on this subsurface disposal system from 2006? Did you just add those measurements on there?
Yes.
Okay. So that's, well, what you drew is pretty much approximate, you know, it's obviously not certified or anything, but it's approximate to where you believe it would be in reference to
Right.
the septic?
Yeah, when I did that one.
Okay. You have anything
We
else?
do have a plot plan.
Yes, yep. Let me, do you have anything, or do you want to keep looking? I'll see if Betsy has any.
Yeah, go ahead to Beth, please.
Betsy, do you have any comments in regards to the wetland setbacks, or any questions for the applicant? Yep.
Let's look for that.
I didn't hear the question.
It was the fire safety concern.
All the property setbacks meet and exceed the requirements to the property lines.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
probably read that into the record. That's probably the best deal.
yeah, read
Linda, for a point of order, it's fine to read this email from the fire chief into record. So we're all okay.
I think it was read last time.
So, I don't know, we got an email from the fire chief in reference to,
Yes, it was discussed
Okay.
last meeting.
yeah, I'm just going to read it into the record. Carol Manta, the administrative assistant, emailed the fire chief, Mark Tetreault, and she asked, "Hi, do you guys have any issues with Mr. Bernard adding a garage to his property at 26 Newman Road?" Chief Mark Terrell, the fire chief, he responded with, "Carol, my concern with adding a garage to the proximity to other buildings on or off the property. Since the lot is so small, I suspect any additional structure would present a hazard." Mark.
Present, I think.
And that was
Present.
on Thursday, July 29, 2021. And just to kind of follow up with that, that was also sent to the police chief, Glenn Drolet, and, yeah, so the police chief of Northwood, and he responded that he had no concerns on Thursday, July 29, 2021. Those are on the record. Betsy, do you have any questions or anything further in regards to any, like, the fire safety, or any questions for the applicant on the wetlands? Right,
Yep. Is it fire?
all right.
I think this is more towards the .29 acre one, not the setbacks, right?
No, it's just tightness of buildings together. I think a
Okay,
fire
well,
department would
it meets all the requirements to the property
So
line
the
setback.
20-foot setback, your original house is outside the 20-foot building setback on the left side, and on the right side, I think it's just in reference to the wetlands where it's out of that. According to the certified plot plan, which also puts the garage, if I'm reading this correctly, over half over the wetland setback. So you've got an existing house. We can't do anything about the existing house. It is what it is. It's there. But and I think the enclosed porch that exists is where it is located, because it is within the 20-foot building setback. And but this garage is clearly, over half of it is not in compliance with the wetland setback in this case, with it going down. So, I mean, looking at your proposed front porch.
Yeah, but it's eliminating the impervious driveway. So,
Yeah, replacing it with a building.
right, that's going to improve with the proper drainage.
I would suggest that rather than having a back and forth, that you go through the questions, ask for his specific responses on the record. You're welcome to give, you know, the board make your comments and then allow him to make comments. It does appear that, well, the septic is what it is. But it's interesting that the septic design that from 95, which was done based on the fact that it had failed at that point, was allowed to be rebuilt in kind. And just for the record, what he was, just to clarify that, when he said that the person came out and pumped it and it was fine, that is the opinion of a septic transporter, not a licensed septic designer. It's a waste hauler rather than...
Right, not
Not an
a
engineer.
engineer, right, a professional on that. But it does raise the question of, you know, what is happening over there, and with the garage,
He does testing too.
the water coming off the garage and stuff, which would go on, you know, it's going to be a pitched roof on the garage.
Yes.
So you're going to have water going to the left and the right. And I understand drainage, you know, to the right, but to the left, it's going to your leach area on a very small lot.
All right, we'll get right into the 5 questions for the wetlands. So variance from article, yeah, that's right. 6A4A, wetland setback. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because
Existing lot previously approved by town. No additional property, oh, wait a minute, this is
Different one.
the frontage one? Oh, this is frontage.
You have
Sorry.
it as 4B,
Yeah,
4B.
I have it here. Storm management has been designed and state wetland permit has been obtained, DES permit number 2021-612.
All right. The use is not contrary to the spirit of the ordinance because
Existing home structure already within the 20-foot setback.
granting the variance would do substantial justice because
Landscaping and water management will be improved to protect the wetlands.
the proposed use would not diminish surrounding property values because
Landscaping will improve aesthetics and property values. Stormwater management will help protect wetlands.
little enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship because the special conditions of this property that distinguish it from other properties in the area are as follows.
Seasonal stream runs alongside driveway, carport, and house.
Owing to the special conditions of the property set forth above that distinguishes it from other properties in the area, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance and the specific application of that provision to the property because
The setback area is within the owner's property, including the wetland area of the seasonal stream. The house structure is within the setback area.
the proposed use is a reasonable one because
Stormwater management and landscaping will protect wetland from erosion. DES approved permit, 2021-00612.
So does anybody have anything based off of those questions, any clarification or anything for the applicant and board members at this time?
Yeah, I'm a little confused because you have your DES shoreline.
Yeah, that's the shoreline permit.
Right,
number.
not sure how that
I said
applies
wetland.
to the garage.
It does, because it's within the shoreline area, 250-foot buffer. That's why it has all the mitigation on the shoreline permit.
Got a question?
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that the house itself is safely inside the setback area, but that's not what you're asking for. You're asking for permission to further violate the setback with the garage and especially with the, or partly with the porch or deck or whatever you call it, and the new stairs out back. Those are expansions into that area. So your answer is saying that, well, the house is well, you say the setback area is within the owner's property. Well, sure, including the wetland area. The house structure is within the setback area, but that's not what we're talking about here or looking at. You're not.
Yeah, the garage goes 2 feet further on one corner, but it goes less than the carport on the far end.
Right.
And the porch does go closer than the house on the, because it curves in. The wetland area is distinguished there, wider area, because it was lower. But that's just the way it is. It's not water over there, it's just a lower area, so it's been designated wetlands because it's more water runs off in that area.
I'm looking for a justification for you encroaching even further into the wetland setback. I haven't heard any such justification yet. You suggested conversationally maybe half an hour ago that maybe you'd consider shrinking the porch or deck or maybe moving the stairs. I think it's a great idea. Move them back within the 20-foot limit.
Sure.
And I wouldn't have a problem. But.
Well, 20 feet, it won't make it because there won't be a porch.
Except there's one there already.
Well, the enclosed, yeah.
No, the porch right now, it goes out the back towards the lake. And that's gonna bring it in away from the lake. The existing porch is a 3-foot by 3-foot porch with stairs closer to the lake.
I don't have that on, I don't have that you're changing the porch per se. On the certified plot plan, I see existing house and enclosed porch. But not in blue do I see any changes there. I see this deck, that's his proposed deck and staircase.
Yeah, and the staircase.
And the enclosed that you have, I don't see any blue occurring there. If you were going to change the enclosed...
It's on the meridian plan. Let me find it. Yeah, you can't hardly see it.
Yeah, I've got the...
On the meridian plan, this one? Well, it's not, yeah, it's not on the house
I
plan.
don't have it either.
This is all new.
Yeah.
But you just said the enclosed is going to be new, that that's extending out. And that's not what I have.
No, what I'm saying is, the old stairway in porch area, which is only a 3x3, is off the back of the sunroom, on the 3-season porch.
Okay, you're not changing the sunroom.
No,
Okay.
that is coming off, so that's eliminating that area
Those little stairs, those
behind
stairs are...
the house.
Those stairs off the enclosed porch are within the 20-foot building setback. They're beautiful right where they are. You get you can't really quibble with that. They are there. The new porch and stairs is an encroachment, and the garage is a substantial encroachment on the wetland. And saying that the house already encroaches does not validate the
Okay, that's fine.
building.
I understand that.
So I have a concern of the garage that far in the setback, and I think just the way I look at the wetland setback is so we don't disturb the wetlands, and you're going to be digging in that setback, and I'm concerned with, I understand DES has procedure you need to follow during construction and all, but I'm concerned about any sediment, anything else going into Lucas Pond, as it is, you know, it is a cherished body of water here in town.
No, I'm a member of Trout Unlimited, which we strive to prevent that.
Okay. And my other concern is, after walking the property, is the safety, as, you know, just like the fire chief brought up, was, you know, kind of overcrowding these smaller lots. After going for a site visit there, trying to walk from the front yard as it is now with no structure, no garage or anything, as like Pam stated, walking back there, it's tight. You're walking, it's pretty tight back there, and even without the structure. So I'm thinking, as Pam has stated previously, is, you know, if something happens in the backyard and fire, police, EMS need to get there, your driveway's right on that side. So typically, you know, people come to your house, they go to your driveway. They're going to go the quickest route to an emergency, and it's going to be that side. And it's so steep right there down to the wetlands. I see a huge safety issue there by encroaching the wetlands. Yeah, it could be, you know, I mean, more than, you know, what your house already is. Like we already said, the house is what it is. But just adding this new structure, you could be going over another foot, that's fine. But then back on these back steps off that back porch, I have a concern. It's only 5.9 feet. And how much of that is sloped down? And your lot already is sloping, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's already sloping from the road down to Lucas Pond. So I see a lot of concern. I'm concerned with it, and I haven't heard any valid reasons as why we need to encroach this wetland, the wetland area, not the wetland, the setback area, any more than it already is on this small lot. I have a lot of safety concern and, conservation concern. And between the fire chief, his comment, and the conservation committee, it's a lot to take in, and after walking the site. So I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add in reference to any of my comments I made to maybe kind of give the board a better idea of how this is going to improve, or like how's this going to benefit anything?
It's going to benefit the use of the property for me, allowing me to use the garage for my safety and vehicles and such, and the side mitigation will be such that it'll be okay to walk past it down that way. And it'll be improved instead of having just this sloped area where everything just runs down.
Okay.
For the board's consideration, the benefit to the property owner, case law said that alone is not a valid.
It's what?
That, in other words, that it's particularly just benefiting the property owner, everything that's requested does that.
Right.
Is not a valid criteria for the granting of a variance.
Right,
The
sure.
right goes to the land, not the people within it.
It's going to improve the land.
Well, if I could just ask a couple of questions here, I'm just looking at the building permit application. Of which I have found one.
Yeah, we get too many papers out. we
This,
get lost.
your application, which you have signed on 7/14/21 for the enclosed porch and kitchen, dining, and living room. I guess that's a little different, but that enclosed, okay. That says the distance from the nearest property line is 37 feet, but is this I just have it. The building permit for the carport, existing use carport, proposed use, new garage.
Yeah, there's two.
You have the distance from the nearest property line, and your building permit is 31 feet.
That's correct.
But that's not the nearest,
That's not the wetlands, that's the property line.
it is 31 feet to the property line.
Yes, something like that.
Okay.
It might
So
be,
then the question came up,
Might
and
be a
that's
little
why
more.
you were required to do the certified wetlands. Okay.
Yep.
We'll see if Betsy has anything, Betsy, do you have anything further or anything of the applicant? All right, thank you.
Did you go through the 5 questions on the,
For the wetland
Yes,
setback,
on the
6A, 4A?
you did, you
That we
I
did
think
that?
we-
and
we
then
never,
just started
we
the
never
discussion.
closed on the acreage, I don't think. And we did
No,
that,
I think
I
that-
believe we went through those questions last time.
We went through road frontage and
started to go through the lot size,
Yeah.
and then it was continued.
Yep.
yeah,
So my understanding is right now, you're on wetland setback,
wetland.
Correct. Yep.
and then you can go back to the lot size, I guess.
So I don't know, anybody we've had a lot of discussion on this. Need any clarity, anything else, any additional information any board member may need?
Excuse me, I just don't see, and it's a side thing on lot size, but because of the quantity of wetland and wetland setback that runs through this property, it's substantial. You could almost say, half of the property is wetland setback and wetland, with the other good portion of it, your 20-foot building setback to front, side, and back. It's a very, it's a very small, little, tight space you have. The septic tank being questionable, it's working, but we don't know. It's from, 96 was the septic system? I'm going to be honest and say when I walked around the front of the building my first visit, because I was not sure I could get by on the side of the building because it was so narrow. So I walked around the front way of the building, and I felt that the ground was sandy and spongy, and I hurried, skittered across because I wasn't sure if
Those
I
are
was,
those are the moles.
yeah, I wasn't sure if I was on the septic leach field or what, because it was, I sunk in.
Well, that was dug up and pumped
We're
recently.
doing the back and forth again. Can you close public comment if you're done with your answers? If you're not, then
Yeah, did you have any more for the
he's
applicant?
given his testimony at this
Specifically?
point.
No? All set? All right.
You have your testimony.
I'm going to close public comment now. All right.
We should tell him that, if it arises that he does have something to add, can he, can we reopen for him?
I mean, we could reopen it, but I mean, we just don't want to get
'Cause he
into
was
this
in-
back and forth.
I know,
That's,
he
you
was
know,
in mid-statement though, and I don't want to feel like he was cut off because of something.
The only thing I would
You just-
suggest is if there's a motion to deny, then you can always ask, when it's a setback issue, whether or not the person wants to continue the case and give thought to that, and whether or not they may want to reconfigure. If this is his only option, then he can say no, and you go ahead and vote. But at least allow an opportunity where there was some, or I understood there was some discussion that, maybe I'm wrong, that there was a potential to consider some of the setback,
The applicant said that.
make it something smaller. Because just so that the applicant understands, if you deny it, he has the right to appeal that denial, but he has to do one of two things. Either give you information that you didn't have before, I don't know what that could possibly be, or two, prove that it makes some statement that you committed an error in law, which I think you've given him, you've asked the questions, and as long as you provide a decision based for or against on those conditions and give your statement as to why you're voting a certain way, then I don't know of an error in law that's happened. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to do a motion for reconsideration or an appeal if he chooses to.
And he could also, if he was considering changing that porch and stairs, as he mentioned, he could also request a continuance to reconsider, because again, a denial of variance kind of, shuts the door, unless other mitigating things come up. But, so if there was something that you wanted to consider changing, you could.
This would be the time to request more time.
This would be the time to think about that.
Right. Because if it is denied, he has the right to appeal directly back to you, but if if you do not grant the motion for reconsideration, his only recourse would be to go to Superior Court.
And that would be a question of whether anything legally was
Right.
not.
Right.
And the other side of it is that due to recent court cases within a short number of years, this board does not have to rehear a case they've already decided on. So if he came back for the same reason, in other words, if he came back and said, well, I'm going to move it back 5 feet, I'm going to make a smaller garage, but he's appealing a structure setback in a wetland still, then it's up to the board to decide whether they even want to hear it. And you're not bound to have to hear it. So, those are just some of the things that the applicant should be made aware of, that's all. But certainly it's fair to go forward with a decision based on the testimony that's been provided tonight.
Okay. Now, how's the board feel if I were to ask the applicant if he has anything to add, change, or anything like that? If he has nothing, we'll close public comment and we'll do our deliberating. Is that fine? Are you fine with that, Betsy? So are you good with me asking the applicant, we'll open public comment for a minute, see if he's okay, if he wants to change, add, do anything to this application. If he doesn't want to do anything, we'll close public comment and we'll proceed with what we have. Good question. Hold on. A butters list. Why don't we have a butters list?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, nice.
Betsy very detail oriented.
Well, she already looks, so I know what we're looking for. Yeah.
What's his name?
There's 3 abutters, you should have the list.
Sorry, Betsy, what was that?
Affirmative.
Public notices went out to them. They've been notified. But yeah, we just look, we don't have a list here.
Is that required?
Susan, where did you get your butters from?
No, I don't have it either.
Yes. Yeah, I have it right here. Okay. No, the labels are not handwritten, they're typed.
The last applicant, where there's 2 or 3 abutters he wrote.
Yeah.
I provided 2 abutters, and then I talking to Linda. She said the one across the street had to be added, and she would do it, and she did that.
Yeah, I did, that is, they did, where's that? I just don't want to get these mixed up, because I get the building and the zoning all. and
Oh,
so-
she's extremely
Detailed.
detailed
Love it.
oriented.
It's great.
Magnificent, really, like
Yeah.
on like budget and stuff. So Betsy, we're talking about your side. Very good at details. Eagle eye.
So,
It appears they were all notified. It appears they were all notified. There's one
Okay.
on either side and one across the street. And I think what happened was, and I don't recollect, we spoke on the phone.
Spoke on the
because I-
phone, yes.
Because I noted that there wasn't an abutters list probably at the time.
No, there wasn't a butters list. You said there was only 2 on it, and
No?
there was one that had to be across the street.
Well, there's nothing
And
in-
you looked, you said, oh, I can find them, and
did.
we're on the phone, you found the one across the street and sent it
Right.
out. They got them. I talked to
Oh,
them.
they've all been notified?
Yes.
Oh, it's right here.
There you go. So there is one. We just don't
Way to
have it
go.
in our packet. There we go.
Yeah, he had 2. I added him, and I added the one across the street.
Yeah.
It's at the very last page of about 50.
all right. So, kind of seems like a consensus. So, Mr.
Let me just give the board just a brief overview. Some of the reasons these things happen, this application came in solely for one item, and then it was actually, I think, someone brought it to the attention of the town that there was a stream there, which we didn't know. So then the building inspector required the certified plot plan showing the wetlands delineation before it could be processed. Is that your recollection? But it didn't come in even noting that on the original application.
It just showed the distance from the property line.
Right. And
And it had the shoreline permit.
so it simply stated the distances to the lot lines, and until there was an awareness that there was a stream running through there, did that get held up, and then additional information came in,
You
and
get the BS.
different, new applications, and on and on.
Okay.
Sometimes these things occur over time. As you can see, the shoreline went back to February or
Yeah,
March.
April.
That was July. April?
April, yeah. Yeah. I'll just open up public comment for a minute. Mr. Bernard, do you have anything else to add? Do you want us to proceed tonight in regards to this variance for the wetland setback? Or do you have anything else to add, or do you want to do anything else?
Or you could ask for a continuance.
Yeah, you could ask for a continuance, you can
Think about
do whatever, submit.
I'd like to reduce the size of the porch. I need a porch to get it within, because you're going to vote no on it as it is. So I guess I want to continue.
Okay,
What else is it? No or a continuance?
so,
well, they haven't voted, so it's,
right, right. So,
No, if you're considering amending your application in any way, you should express that to the board, whether it's for the porch or the garage.
so,
I understood we're on the, both of
Wetland.
them on the wetland buffer, or just the garage?
Well, this is the.
oh, it's,
I mean, he can continue on any account he wants.
On any account
yeah,
you want.
right, I mean, I think he understands where we stood on the comments and everything. And that's up to you, obviously it's up to you. If you want to do a continuance, we can set a date and time for a continuance, and any new additional information would have to be in by a deadline.
Yeah, well, what is the other process? You vote now, and it's a no, and then you can't come back?
So your action and recourse, if it were to be voted down, you'd be able to request a rehearing, Linda, is that correct?
You would have to file a motion for reconsideration of their decision, which is a rehearing. They must address whether or not they would rehear it. However, there's no obligation on their part to rehear it unless you provide a testimony that convinces them to rehear the case.
Okay. Like adjustment.
And everything that you want to rehear, they can only go on what you provide for a reason for the rehearing. It would either be that they made an error in law, or there was information that was not available the night of the meeting. It cannot be, well, I want to change it. Then you would have to, at that point, file a new, well, you'd either have 30 days to appeal it, or after the 30-day appeal time, you could file another application, notify abutters again. However, they may choose not to hear it as well at that point, based on case law. So if you need time to reconsider your dimensions or your application, certainly they can extend it. Either if the end of the month meeting is too soon, then they could give you to the December meeting, or whenever, however much time you need to reconsider. However, whatever information you come back with, whether it's the garage or the porch, you would need to submit whatever the date is. Typically, they would want 10 days in advance, and the new information 10 days in advance of whatever date you want to continue the meeting to.
Can I ask a question? Like, would Mr. Pinard be able to contact the Conservation Commission? I know we asked, Conservation Commission for their opinion. Would he be able to, as the landowner, be able to contact them and say, look, could you come over and I want to show you what I want to do and what my plans are, and get your opinion directly? Is he allowed to do that? And because that would come back as more information.
He could ask the Conservation Commission to do a site walk. That's certainly reasonable. Or he could look at the situation and decide to withdraw the variance and apply for a special exception. That's another option he has. The
And can he
Conservation...
come in on a day and meet with you or somebody for a full explanation of a special exception? Because it is confusing, and to know what forms and what the process is.
That's typical. I have never met with him prior to...
Okay.
Generally, people will contact me, and I will sit down and explain, maybe this is one option or this is another option.
Right. So there are avenues
I
to
cannot
pursue.
give him advice as to how to apply, but I can
Right.
give him what the options are.
and I can't advise him, or we can't advise
No.
him either, but we can speak within each other and say, Mr. Bernard could do these things.
Options.
The Conservation Commission is not meeting again till, I think it's December 15th. They just met, and this was just last week, and now they've changed their meeting date. So if that's the case, and he decides he would like to meet with them, then I suggest he continue it until the January meeting. Or do whatever he'd like. I mean, he can choose whenever he'd like to continue. He doesn't have to continue. He can say, go ahead, I'm ready to roll. This is all or nothing. I don't want to reconsider, so that's up to him.
And I will point out it's getting near 9:30.
Yeah, I've figured this out.
Conservation, we know where they stand. Unless he comes in with a different and scaled back plan,
Or-
why would they need to weigh in again?
Or, you know, he has that ability to ask them.
Well,
It's
sure,
his-
but they've
but
already given us two
They
memos.
may not know what his runoff mitigation, his construction mitigation is. They may
That's
not be
true.
aware, and they may not be aware of, oh, so you're going to do this type of thing. Ah,
Well, that's
You don't-
true, or
you
they
don't
could do
know.
a site walk and express
Yeah.
greater concern in more
Right.
depth.
Yeah, they could cut both ways.
absolutely, absolutely.
So it could go the other way, yeah.
So I think there's a lot of discussion, a lot of options on the table. It's ultimately up to the applicant. Yeah, like I said, you know the options, Mr. Bernard. How would you like us to proceed tonight?
Well, before we do that, I had a question on the acreage. We never addressed that, did we?
We're addressing the setback, wetlands right now. That's all we're addressing right now.
Yeah.
So it's either we move forward with, we deliberate and vote on the wetlands, or unless you're reconsidering.
I'm going to reconsider what I'm going to do, that's all. And
So what are you asking the board for today?
continuance, I guess.
A continuance?
Then I can decide on talking to the commission.
All right. Me personally, Mr. Bernard is 2 weeks too short of a notice for you to,
Well, he just said he wanted to talk to the,
I would like a few months,
a few months.
maybe next year.
What do you think? January? You want to just, and we can continue to January. If it's too early, you could send in a letter to Linda or Susan, just a letter saying, can you please continue our case, and you don't even have to be in person. So you want to just do the 4th, the January 24th, 2022?
Sure.
You want to do that? All right.
Sure, and I can extend it if
Okay.
And you could,
And-
if, you could always ask for a continuance in January to February. As long as you're in the process, he's fine. You're fine.
Okay.
The only thing I'd like to say, if you submit any more additional information to, in reference to this case, just please submit it 10 days prior here in the town before close of business at 4 o'clock. So 10 days, I think, would be the January 14th. Any documents, any additional documents, please submit it by January 14th by end of business.
can you make that a firm must be?
Yeah, must be submitted by January 14, 2022, any additional information.
24.
Yep.
14th is a Friday, that's fine. Well, make it the 13th.
You want
Not
the,
open on
okay,
Monday.
so we'll, whoever makes a motion, just, but Mr. Bernard, so any additional information must be received by town staff by January 13, 2022 by 4 PM.
Okay.
So we heard that. Do we have any motions?
Sure. I move that we continue case 21-6 to the regularly scheduled January zoning board meeting, and that any new information, documents, be submitted no later than January the 13th,
4 PM. By 4 PM.
by 4 p.m. on the 13th.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
I second.
I got a second by Pam. Any further discussion? Ted, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Pam, how do you vote?
Yes?
Betsy? Yes, and myself, I'm yes. I will see you in January or next time we see you, Mr. Bernard. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
For your time.
That one's done. So we have Jobin on the 22nd. And this one, yeah.
We have any internal business to deal with, Linda?
Actually, I do, and I don't know what it is. I thought of it a little while ago.
Then that means nothing.
Ooh,
I know it's late. I know
I know it's late.
something about ZBA policies. Did I hear that last meeting you guys discussed something about policies?
Policies and procedures.
Thought it was at the end. No, nothing,
Some zoning amendment.
nothing about that.
Procedure? You know, we can always leave it to the real.
We didn't, did we vote on adding the electronic communication?
No, I emailed you in reference to that, I believe, for last meeting that I wasn't at. And I don't think that was on the agenda either.
But we can, you leave that for the regular meeting,
I know,
which is in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
November 22nd, because so
oops, sorry,
far,
Betsy.
we only have Jobin
Good point.
that night, I think.
Oh, I know, I think I just, well, it doesn't even matter, because you probably don't know about it. We did get one application that was withdrawn, so,
Senior housing program.
You have a new one.
You gotta sit back.
I didn't get a new one.
No, we haven't got it yet.
Oh, you haven't said it yet. All right, so Jobin and a new one. And Jobin's just a 674.41, so that one shouldn't be a time consumer.
Sure, we
So
can do all kinds of
you'll have
housekeeping.
thought about what it is you need to think about, and we'll
no,
vote
I
on-
think, I might have just been thinking that you got one in, but it was withdrawn, but then Susan told me she hasn't mailed them out yet, so.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second?
Second. I beat you.
The second, any discussion? All those in, oh, sorry, gotta do roll call.
She was going to second, but I beat her.
Ted?
Yes, I vote.
Hold on.
She said, hold on a
What
second.
do we get? The 22nd?
Is the
The
regular?
22nd is Jobin, and there is a new case that they haven't mailed. Chestnut?
That's
Okay,
the
what it
senior
basically
housing
is,
project.
Oh,
Cistern.
senior housing, oh.
Cisterns in the setback? Is that it?
it is a cistern for the water supply that doesn't meet the 50-foot setback.
For the wetland.
No,
No?
to the
For
road,
the road.
and it has been looked at.
I watch the planning board meetings.
Oh,
Just like I know who else we'll end up seeing. We'll see Frank
so
Frankfurt.
you heard about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Betsy, did you get that?
So we got one continuance on the 24th, I think, Betsy, and then what, 2 new cases?
One.
One new case.
22nd, isn't it?
And then the Jobin case. The 674-41 for Jobin, and then followed by Chestnut and Cape. Yes.
22nd, yeah?
All right. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right. Ted, how do you vote?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Betsy? And myself is yes. Thank you, everybody. Sorry for a late meeting, but...
Linda, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All of you, guidance.
Same thing, Susan. Good job with the minutes. Good thing I don't work nights anymore. I would have had to leave
Oh, I'm
15 minutes ago.
I'm exhausted. Because teach all day, race
Are we
home,
off
grab
the
the
live
cat.
stream, Susan?